Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan, thank you for joining us. We've got a lot to talk about. A big low pressure zone over New Zealand and Cyclone Ruby leaving the tropics and coming into the New Zealand area. Today's map shows where all the moisture is, basically in the bright blue area, that tropical humid airflow that's coming down into New Zealand. This is it. The equator is here. So this is a very tropical, moisture-rich airflow coming straight down between Fiji, Vanuatu. There is Cyclone Ruby, and it's coming into the eastern side of the North Island, but also getting down into Canterbury, where we'll be seeing some rain today. There are a couple of airflows into the eastern side of the South Island, but increasingly this rain band is pushing through as we go through the next wee while. And by the way, there is a cooler change arriving at the end of the week from the southwest. The air is much drier down here, no bright blue. That's where all the moisture is, that's where all the humidity is. And also on this map, Cyclone Ruby, but also a tropical storm up here in the other hemisphere, in the northern hemisphere. So this is a little bit unusual. We don't normally have two tropical storms so close to each other, but separated, of course, by the equator. So this storm is tracking southeastwards towards the South Pole, and this is doing the opposite. It's going northwestwards towards the North Pole, separated only by the equator. So that is, you don't see that every day, but they get typhoons all year round. And by the way, serious storm on the way for the Philippines. It looks like it'll be much more intense than Cyclone Ruby was. Speaking of Ruby, coming down into the New Zealand area today, it means that it leaves the Fiji Met Service Authority and becomes part of the New Zealand Met Service Authority. But the storm's falling apart as it joins this low. It's a little bit like a surfer being given a chance to ride a wave as the wave's crashing. So Met Service take over, but the storm itself is actually falling apart, being absorbed into that large low over New Zealand. And so what does that mean? More rain coming in. We're seeing a lot more rain over here on the eastern side. This is the 2-day rainfall amount from Wednesday through to Thursday, and we're still seeing up and over 100 millimetres of rain in that portion, and there could still be another 50 millimetres or so coming through for other areas, and it obviously gets drier the further you go off to the northwest. But also the other feature to focus on today is around Christchurch. Now Christchurch can flood with about 40 or 50 millimetres that falls in 24 hours. We are forecasting between 50 and 70 millimetres, and some areas might even go above that. So I think there is a chance of flooding and slips from Banks Peninsula up to about Rangiora in that area there. So this is partially to do with the tropical airflow coming down, so more rain coming through for you. It is definitely a La Nina summer. Now look, the weather actually does the old switcheroo as we come in towards the weekend. Sunday and Monday, the heavy rain goes back to the west coast and the eastern side is dry. So that's back to the westerlies. So let's get into that forecast, because let me explain what's going on. Here we are for Thursday. And there's the cyclone coming out of the tropics. It'll be an ex-cyclone by now, and it is just out to the east. It's falling apart. It's just such a small part of this huge area of low pressure. But that area right there, damaging winds. So we want it to stay out at sea. The rain curves right around and comes into Canterbury, but the change that we see on Thursday, it's starting to come as a southerly, not that sort of humid easterly so much. It'll still be a little muggy in places, but the temperatures should start to drop. And up in the north here, a westerly comes through. That should start to slowly lower the humidity. And by the time we get to Friday, it's a different story. Across New Zealand, that humidity, that tropical air, it is gone. And now we're getting southern ocean airflows coming back in again. The temperatures drop by 3 or 4 degrees for many places, especially those overnight lows in northern New Zealand. We've got a few showers coming in off the Tasman, and it's windy as well. More like spring, to be honest with you, as we go into Friday. Now this weekend, those winds ease back. Still southwest is blowing through in many areas. The showers are pretty much falling apart, and the temperatures in the south here will start to lift up a little bit, because there's actually some pretty hot weather coming out of Australia. Most of the main centres in the corner here going up into the 30-degree mark for a time as we go on towards the weekend. And you see here on Sunday, that pulse of warm air from Australia now comes out as a nor'wester into the South Island. High pressure over the North Island, so pretty settled stuff. And then we get to Monday, and the high gets the squeeze at the top, and windy, wet sou'westers, that rain map we just showed you. This is it here on Monday. A bit of a messy day, and also another surge of cold air coming back into Southland. So the summer of rain continues, but it dries out a little bit in the north. Now, before I go, Christmas is getting closer and we're getting asked a lot about it. So we might as well show you the weather map for Christmas Day. Now, you're going to be probably a little frustrated at this one because there's no clear, obvious forecast. We're stuck between systems. A big high to the east, a big high to the west. If this one comes in a bit earlier, Christmas Day will be beautiful. If it lingers out in the Tasman, which the modelling is suggesting, then there could be a wintry southerly coming in for Southland and Otago on Christmas Day. Now, this is not locked in. We've still got a week and a bit to go. But if the modelling is accurate, same modelling that picked that cyclone 14 days out, is picking a southwesterly flow over the South Island, and the North Island stuck between a tropical system and two highs, completely in that sort of no man's land, which means there could be a bit of wiggle room between now and Christmas. One thing, it doesn't look as though there's a washout across the country. It looks like a lot of dry areas, but potentially the South Island's got a chance of some wet weather, so we'll keep you posted. And also Australia, plenty of showers and wet weather, but Sydney, Adelaide, Melbourne and Hobart all look pretty good. Sorry, I cut you off, Perth. We'll take a guess. Mix of sun and cloud. All right, that's all from me. We'll update again tomorrow with our next forecast as we head in towards the weekend, and we'll have another Christmas Day update as well.